Welcome back to the CLINUVEL podcast. I'm Sarah, your host. Today we're diving into the world of cosmetics, and more specifically, we're talking about testing. You've probably noticed that open little jar symbol on your products, right? This stands for PAO, or period after opening. It tells you how long a product is good to use after you've opened it. Is it 6 months, 12 months, maybe more? How is this determined, and what does it mean? I'm thrilled to be joined once again by Lynn, our Regulatory Affairs Manager, who can explain more. Hi Alice, welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks, Sarah. Really happy to be back again.
Now, I understand that there's some rigorous testing that goes on in the cosmetics world. Can you tell us more about this?
Yes, so the first test that I'll talk about is the stability testing. So this is conducted once a formula is created. So this is required by law in both the EU and the UK as part of the Cosmetic Product Safety Report. So in short, it's a way of making sure that product stays safe, effective, and doesn't change in consistency, smell, colour, and also weight. It's also used to estimate the shelf life, which is how long the product is safe to use when it stays unopened.
So does this help determine the PAO?
Yes, so the PAO refers to how long the product lasts after you open it and expose it to air, light, your fingers, and moisture, and helps consumers understand when a product might start to lose its effectiveness. So just to give a little bit of a background, so the cosmetic regulation in the EU and the UK states that if a product has a shelf life under 30 months, you must print a best before date on the label. So to avoid that, most brands will aim for a shelf life of 30 months or more, and that's where the accelerated stability testing comes in.
Okay, just to interrupt you there, you said 30 months. I think I've only ever seen
Yes.
PAOs of 6, 12, 24. I don't think I've ever seen a 30-month
Yes,
one.
so there's a difference between shelf life and PAO. So shelf life is how long a product remains stable unopened, and PAO refers to how long a product can be used after opening. So for an example of this, so for a shelf life of 30 months, so that's how long a product stays good when it's sealed, it's never opened. But if you do open it, that's where the PAO comes in. So it's the amount of time a product remains safe and effective after opened. And if a face cream has a PAO of 12 months, it should be used within 12 months from the date you open it.
Okay, so I can't use my sun cream that I've had open for 2 years, for instance.
Exactly. The time starts ticking from the date that you open it.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you. Let's get back to the testing. You mentioned accelerated stability testing. What's that?
Yes. So just to give you a breakdown of the procedure. So the product is placed in a hot environmental chamber of 40 to 45 degrees Celsius for 12 weeks. And then the scientists will monitor the samples at specific time points. So baseline, 2, 4, and 12 weeks to see if the product's degraded, changed color, the smell, the texture, formula separation, etc. If there's no change, this is a good sign that the formula could last up to 30 months unopened, but it's a predictive tool. It gives brands an estimate of how long the product will last on the shelf.
I see. And is this the only stability testing that's conducted?
No, so there's also real-time stability testing as well, and that mimics real-life storage conditions. So the products are stored at room temperature at 25 degrees Celsius over months and years. And again, the scientists will check the color, the smell, the texture, formulation, separation, etc.
And why would you run both of these tests? Why not one or the other?
So the real-time stability gives brands the understanding of how the product behaves when sitting on the bathroom shelf or in the makeup bag. So it gives them the most accurate picture of how the product behaves long term.
Okay, and you said that this happens over years. Does this happen after a product has gone to market and is on shelves?
Yep. So it continues to make sure that the product is still stable. And if a product has failed that stability testing, then that needs to be investigated, and the brand will need to contact the warehouse, and the stock will need to be quarantined, and a reformulation will need to take place.
Okay, so it's quite bad for a brand if that happens.
If the stability fails, yes.
Okay, so we've got our product now. It's passed our stability tests. What do we do next?
So the next one is called compatibility testing. So that's more to do with the packaging. So brands need to make sure that the packaging and the formula work well together. So what I mean by that is no leaks, no sort of strange reaction, ultimately nothing that affects the performance of the product. So the procedure is that the final formula is filled into the packaging. Again, it's stored under different conditions, as done in stability testing, and this is monitored by the scientists over time. This helps to determine that the packaging can protect the product after it's open, which directly impacts the PAO.
Okay, great. And then is our testing complete?
No. So the last test that we need to conduct is the challenge test. So this is a crucial part of the cosmetic product safety. I mean, it helps to ensure that preservatives in the product effectively protect it from harmful contamination throughout its use. So the procedure here is intentionally introducing specific microorganisms like bacteria, yeast, and mold into the cosmetic product under controlled lab conditions over 28 days. And the goal is to sort of see if the preservative system can fight them off, whether the product can stay safe from that growth after the product's been opened and started to being used.
Yeah, because all that bacteria, it'll be exposed with your fingers, your air and things like that.
Exactly.
So that's our final test. Do we then determine PAO after that?
So all of these three tests will determine PAO. So just to give a little summary of that. So stability tests help to estimate how long the product will last, both unopened and opened. Compatibility tests will tell how the packaging protects the formula after opening. And the challenge tests proves whether the preservative system within the product can keep the product safe from bacteria and mold once it started to be used. So together, these tests give the manufacturer and the safety assessor everything they need to decide on the most accurate and safe PAO.
Okay, and so we've completed all these tests. We've got our PAO. What happens next?
So once the safety assessor will need to determine that the formula is safe. So they'll also review the raw materials and all of the tests that we've conducted. And then we will need to determine if the product actually works the way that we say that it does, or the way that we're saying it does in our marketing.
Oh, yeah. So now we're moving into our claims, aren't we?
Yes, our claims testing, yeah.
And how do we do that?
So there's two ways. There's clinical tests and user trials. So clinical tests provide these scientific evidence-backed claims. And the procedure here is on a lab environment. And the instruments are used on humans to evaluate the performance of a cosmetic product. So just to give you an example, so instruments such as a corneometer will measure the skin hydration and enable claims such as improved skin hydration within 2 weeks. And then another example of an instrument is the cutometer. So that will measure skin elasticity and firmness, and that will give insights into the anti-aging effects that can help to support claims such as clinically proven to reduce wrinkles in 8 weeks.
Okay, so that's our more scientific tests. What about user trials?
So user trials will provide brands with perception claims. So this is also known as feedback from real people using the product at home over a couple of weeks. And it's all about how that product feels and performs for those everyday users. So an example of a perception claim is 80% of customers reported softer skin after 2 weeks.
And so then after that, it all gets packaged up, right? And then the product is ready to launch. Is that correct?
Exactly, yeah. We need to register the product as well. That's another important part of the product development process.
And are you able to tell us anything about what's going on behind the scenes at CLINUVEL, specifically our photo cosmetics lines?
Yes, so we can share a little bit of information that the current tests that we've been working on. So we are exploring how skincare and active ingredients can support the skin's natural response to DNA damage. So that's caused by environmental stresses such as UV radiation, pollution, and oxidative stress. So we have observed promising results from in vitro testing. These tests have shown the potential to protect and help keratinocytes, the cells in the outer layer of the skin, survive UV exposure and reduce oxidative damage.
It sounds really promising. It sounds like it's going to be a really great product. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to join us again, Alice.
Thanks,
This
Sarah.
has been a really great discussion. And if any of our listeners wish to keep up to date with our photo cosmetics line, you can follow us on Instagram at CLINUVEL DNA.